us up, we have a toe into the mainstream of our business. Otherwise, I think as a program, we would have still been in the fringes, but because...
I mean, how cool is that? And as Vita mentioned, we're part of the Global Centers, and we're here today to celebrate the one-year anniversary of the Global Centers, which includes the Third Eye, the Center here at the Asian Center for Entertainment Education in Mumbai, and then it includes GIST of Bollywood workshops in Lagos, Nigeria, and then finally my center, Hollywood Health and Society in Los Angeles. And so Hollywood Health and Society has been around for about 13 years now, and we are a free expert resource to writers and directors and television producers and filmmakers. We work with Grey's Anatomy and Homeland, 90210, Mad Men, many shows that are renowned for their realism and their accuracy. And we do that by offering free on-demand access to experts. And it's really a win-win because these programs become very compelling and gritty and realistic. They make lots of money, and then their audiences learn more about their health and the issues facing them and their communities. So we thought in Hollywood, you know, why are we keeping this a secret? Why not share this with the rest of the world, especially with the other great global film industries of Bollywood and Nollywood, both of which make thousands more films than Hollywood does. And so we formed the Global Centers about a year ago to do exactly that, to share this vision and to learn from our other compatriots at the Asian Center for Entertainment Education and Third Eye and
colleague Bonda Marua, who's in Lagos today. The Nollywood Workshops is a nonprofit organization dedicated to harnessing the power of film to inspire and educate audiences. And since we're all filmmakers here today, I should tell you that our organization was sparked by the creation of film. We went to Nollywood for the first time in 2005, two filmmakers and I, Bob Caputo and Fred Kosaki, because we were captivated by this industry of Nollywood. How, in Nigeria, could an industry take the world by storm, giving Hollywood and Bollywood a run for its money? So we went to Lagos to document Bondo Marua, one of Nigeria's most prolific filmmakers at the time, to see how he, in classic Nollywood style, could make a blockbuster over the course of 3 weeks for a budget of about $50,000, reaching audiences that any independent filmmaker in the US or India would be very envious of. True? So we learned about the power of Nollywood through Bond. And when Bond's film went along to be a total blockbuster, definitely making more of a profit than our documentary, and certainly reaching much bigger of an audience, we realized that Nollywood had this incredible, incredible power, not only to reach and inspire audiences, but to really be a creative industry that could inspire the world. So we formed Nollywood Workshops, an organization to support independent filmmakers in Nollywood, harness digital technologies to make better films and reach more audiences. As we started doing technical training, we realized that the average Nigerian filmmaker had a responsibility that they held very dear. It wasn't only to make a good film and to make a commercially viable film. It was to use their film to say something, to put a message in it. And they were interested not only in improving their technical skills, but also reaching an audience in a broader way and in a more meaningful way. So around this time where we decided we would expand our program from training to also film production, we were so lucky to meet Chris and his team at USC, the Norman Lear Center, and realized that the Hollywood Health and Society model could be extended to an industry like Nigeria. So we launched the GIST program, which will support filmmakers by providing relationships with experts to advise storylines, and also produce films that have storylines to influence health, attitudes about health and other development issues. We're well on our way, just like the Third Eye, and so a year from now, when we gather for the Global Summit again, hopefully we'll have some great new films to show for you. But to nearly 20 films, he's made 14 films in his time. many that have won awards and screened at festivals internationally. And he, I should say, for the purposes of our mission today, because we're all here as filmmakers who care about the power of storytelling, Mr. Kalani really has modeled for the Nigerian film industry the power of this medium. And he's demonstrated through his films that are not only entertaining and commercially successful, that also you can make an impact with your story. You can inspire audiences, you can spark conversations, and if you're going to tell a story, why not make it count? And I think TK is a wonderful example of that. So I'd like to introduce you, and hope we all enjoy his preview today. Thanks.
Industry. And he said for some of us and say, you know what, the government delegation is going to Delhi, but let's meet in Mumbai and learn from the example of the Indian cinema. It is certainly complimentary for Nollywood to be compared with Hollywood and Bollywood, but it's a very young industry, and we certainly have a long way to go, because we actually sat with the National Film Development Corporation of India across the government delegation, and we went back and forth on what India did, and we realized that we have a huge deficit of infrastructure, of institutions, which has made the Indian cinema so. You see, we are inspired by Hollywood and Bollywood, and the inspiration I can relate directly to the Indian cinema, which is a cultural diversity cinema. And I look at the indigenous
filmmakers and of course great Bollywood filmmakers together.
I think we can all turn around, by the way.
Yeah,
We come back to the screening later.
Award-nominated filmmaker of Prisoner of Paradise, and also a filmmaker, producer of the movie The Vow with Channing Tatum and Rachel McAdams. He's also very interested in making Batsab. He is really the guiding light and the patron saint and the guru behind The Third Eye. We just couldn't be luckier to have you as part of our crazy adventure here, so thank you. Ravi Walia, whose new film we'll be lucky enough to see a trailer of, details the tragedies of the events at Bhopal in the 1980s, and fits in so well with this panel of people who are really interested in making movies that aren't just big, but movies that matter. Tunde Kalani, who we've heard from and has been introduced to, is truly Nigeria's preeminent filmmaker, and is kind of the best and the brightest of Nigerian film. So we're extremely lucky to have these filmmakers, including Amy Corrigan, who is a director of GIST and Hollywood Workshops, who is also a very talented filmmaker in her own right. So yeah, we're just so amazingly lucky to have this group of respected filmmakers from at least 3 different parts of the world who are also interested in making media that will change the world itself. So I think I would like to, and we're going to keep it fairly informal, so I'm hoping they're going to be asking as many questions of each other as I am. But my first question is to Vatsa. You had mentioned that
the world is changed. You have right here Hollywood, Nigerian cinema icons, and we from India, Bollywood. And I think over the years, this tribe is going to increase. And so we are the world and the world is us. But what keeps us together is what we saw when the character, when she kind of went into spasms of pain, and then you immediately started empathizing with her, and you were interested in her narrative. So the human suffering, the language of suffering, human pain is what holds us all together. And I think that is what has brought all of us together, as we as human beings are committed to address the problem of human suffering in our own unique ways with the insights that we have. And I'm very happy that The Third Eye is doing such an exceptional job with our friends in the United States. We are now for the first time going to have, a huge data which was perhaps not accessible in the bygone days. So I think what Third Eye has done is they have actively interacted with filmmakers on 11 stories lines, she said, and the networking is going on. It's going to kickstart 2 television programs. So I think this is just the beginning, but as I said, the tribe is going to increase, and what is going to hold us together is the empathy, the power of empathy. Because when empathy erodes, even walks tall. And I think what keeps us together is empathy, which is the price treasure of the human race. To answer your question, Chris, is in 1984, I remember when I made Earth, which was autobiographical based on my memories of a girlfriend of mine who suffered from what's called paranoid schizophrenia. When I tried to tell a renowned actor who was from theatre to use the word schizophrenia, and I said, use the word psychosis. And he was struggling. He says, why? Why should I use the word psychosis? Who will understand it? I said, it's important that we don't label it as madness. Right? And because there's a word called madness, and under that, if you didn't hold a person as a mad, then you kind of simplify things and trivialize the character. So there was tremendous resistance, but if I had access to more information, at that time in India we were just beginning to wake up to this truth that, and I was personally combating the psychiatrists who were perhaps a little less informed than I was, because I could see that the root of what was called madness or mental breakdown was the body. It was a psycho-biological disorder. It was a biochemical disorder. And it was genetically, it was in the genes. It was something like diabetes. And it was not caused by the environment or by the stress and strain. And it has taken me years, and it was heartbreaking that subsequently, even in my personal life, that the so-called well-informed media trivialized the entire discourse and kind of chose to look for external attributes for the crack-up of the very famous star, when actually the disorder was there in her genes. And it's only subsequently with the advent of understanding that even now, as I speak to you right now, in the latest film fair, I've tried to demystify what really led to the crack-up of that famous star with whom I was involved. She was a victim of schizophrenia, and schizophrenia is a biological disorder, a biochemical disorder. It has its roots in its genes. The person is predisposed towards this kind of ailment, and there are cures which are possible. I mean, you can brain it through drug therapy, not through counseling. So I wish I had access to more information. I would be able to give a deeper insight, and through that film, which has endured for 30 years, and it's still on the shelf, perhaps helped a large number of people who suffer from this ailment. And I think what is indeed, you saw the way everybody was watching. We never heard of something like this existing on this planet, and what keeps everybody glued is that there is something like this exists in this part of the world, and as human beings we empathize and we are as concerned. So thank you for bringing this to our notice, and I hope that we keep on doing this on Third Eye repeatedly and keep on broadening our understanding of what the human race is dealing with. Thank you. Title?
Well, it's actually the credit goes to the writer, because they know